Well, this video is going to be of chuck maintenance for my lathe chuck. I have a Bison Set Tru, and it's got some chips in it. It's a couple of years old, so figured this would be a good time to take it apart, clean it, lube it up, and then have Tru Set back plate on it. So I'll show you how to adjust that. So I'll get the camera set up and we'll start taking this thing apart. Alright, so we'll try to keep this in frame. I've taken this chuck apart before, so we'll learn together. These are my Set Tru adjustments. You'll see why I'm loosening these up in a second. Okay. These 3 bolts hold the chuck to the backing plate. Bison chuck, it's a good chuck. Made in Poland. Alright, so now should be able to get the backing plate off. Might need a little persuasion here. Yep, gotta get the persuader. You know, before I do this, I can't remember whether I ever did this before, but this is put a few witness marks on. So we'll just, for grins here. Okay, here's the number 1 jaw, so we'll just that way we can make sure we get things back the way they were. Not that I think it's going to really matter too much, but you know, better safe than sorry. Alright, now you can see why oh, look at that. These adjuster screws here bear on this ring, and there's some slop in here so the chuck can move around on the face. So that's how you get the run out of it. But as you can see, there's a fair amount of chips in here. So we'll deal with that. Clean it out. Now this is how I got the chuck. I mounted this. I machined this backing plate and mounted it. It came machined on this side. I had to do this side of it. So you know, this is as far as I've ever gotten into this chuck. But I want to get to the scroll, make sure there's no chips in there, and make sure it's all happy inside. So, alright, I think I'm gonna have to get a bigger Allen wrench. Maybe put my impact on. So I'll turn the camera back on when I get to the point of being able to show the inside of this thing, because I have a feeling I'm going to be wrestling with it, and it's hot here today. It's hitting 90 already, and as you can tell, I have the fans turned off in here because I want to make this video. So if I get to sweating too much, I may have to turn this thing off and start again tomorrow. But anyways, yeah, stand by here and I'll be taking this thing apart more. Alright, had to use the impact on it, but got them out. Now we get to see what's really inside. Wow. Yeah, this thing is machined really well. Something tells me these bad boys got to come out too. Not too bad looking for, I've had this thing for over 10 years. So, you know, it has served me well. I got my lathe and had this old beat up 3-jaw on it. Man, that thing was beat, it was bell-mouthed, it was loose. So, as soon as I figured out how to work my lathe, I figured out that thing was a piece of crap. And spent a ton of money on this one. So yeah. Alright, well, I gotta figure out how to take this thing apart. So I'm going to pause the video again, do some little tapping on this thing, see if I can get it to come apart. Stand by again. Man, I'll tell you, this chuck is really well made. It's got seals in it and everything. But it's coming apart, slow but sure. I was hammering on this thing with a piece of aluminum to get it apart. I also, before I did break it apart, I put more witness marks on it so I knew how to put it back together. Come on, baby. It's close. This thing is like a piston in the cylinder, man. It's a nice chuck. Oh, here we go. Not too bad. Probably didn't have to take it apart. That's nice stuff. So alright, yeah, grease isn't so bad. Obviously there's no chips in there. So I'll just kind of clean it up. Got a little spooge here. And I'll get back with you when we get it all back together. where we start putting it back together, and then we'll also go through the run out adjustment procedure. So alright, now comes the fun part. It's going to get messy. Alright, I got the base cleaned up. Got all the grease cleaned off of it. Use a little brake clean. I didn't spray it on the chuck. I sprayed it on the rag and then wiped it because obviously you want keep that stuff out of there. Okay, so I took the scroll. I mean I guess you could call it the scroll. This is where all the crud is. It was real. I mean, this fit in here is unbelievable. It was hard to get this out of there because it kept cocking sideways and jamming in there, but I finally got it out. And I mean, what do you suppose that is? They look like balancing marks or something. I don't know why they did that, but anyways, we're continuing with the cleanup here, and doesn't look like there's any appreciable wear on anything. It's not like I'm using this thing for production, but it still looks brand new. Alright, so I'm going to clean the grease out of these teeth, probably with a toothbrush and some brake cleaner. And then this is where all the real filth is, so we'll clean that up as well. And that's not going to teach you nothing, so I won't record that. But I'll record the reassembly of said device and the subsequent calibration of it. So yeah, I gotta turn the fan on too, man. It's like a million in here. So yep, I'm gonna shut the camera off because you won't be able to hear what I'm saying anyways with this fan on. And I'll just clean it up and get it ready for putting back together, get it all lubed up. I think I'm gonna use super lube on it. It looks like about the same stuff that's in here. So be back with you in a few minutes here. Okay, did I mention it was freaking hot? I got this thing all cleaned up, and I'll tell you, man, I feel like I should be in a clean room. Look at this thing, man. It's got a labyrinth seal in it to keep the crud out. You know, obviously the front of the chuck is exposed to the garbage, but the back of this chuck, I mean, this thing is machined so well. I would love to have a tour of their factory. And everything is ground. I can't even figure out how they made some of this stuff. In any case, we got our super lube, and everything's nice and clean. So we're going to put it all back together. So obviously the outside part of this chuck, that's, you know, the scroll, the jaws, that kind of stuff, we probably don't want to have a lot of grease on it. But the back side of it, it was loaded with grease. But just look at how this thing fits. I mean, it's more precise than an engine. It's just unbelievable how well that fits. I mean, I got respects, man. I don't think I could machine something like that. It doesn't matter how much time they're going to give me. That is some pretty serious talent right there. Alright, so that's the front of it. Get a little down in there. I mean, I don't know, I don't remember how much I paid for this chuck, but it was a lot. I remember thinking it was like almost as much as I paid for my lathe. And now I can see why. Because it takes a serious investment in machinery to make something like this, let me tell you. Okay, so that's the front half of it. The back half I've likewise cleaned, and I kept everything the same. I didn't mix and match the parts. I cleaned everything separately, so these are all going back in the same place. Just put back good grease where I took out all the bad stuff. And you know, the front of this thing, it did have some schmeg on it. It was there was some moisture ingress going on, which turned that grease milky. So I can only attribute that to the condensation problem that I've had for years until I put the Wino heater in, and hopefully that's the last condensation issues I will have. And I mean, you know, I'm marveling at the precision of this thing. It's just, you know, I've taken some chucks apart before, and it was like, yeah, this is a chuck. But it really didn't strike me as how precise they were. This thing is a work of art. And I mean, look at that. I got grease in that hole. Can you see that? And I'm getting a piston fit on it. I mean, that's just amazing to me that something, you know, in mass production like this could be done so well. So that's my take on this, on the machining in this thing. It's just really quite amazing. You know, for something that's mass produced, and you know, I mean, just let's say I paid, I mean, I'm taking a wild ass guess here, $600-700 for this thing. You know, back then I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I just spent that kind of money on a chuck. But this thing has served me well over the years. This is the particular jaw that I had, or what should I call it, the pinion gear, that I had a little bit of water get in and turn the stuff a little milky. So okay, one more to go and then we're clear to assemble. Try to keep this in frame. Oops, everything's getting slippery. we are ready to finally put this baby back together. Like I said, this back here is pretty well sealed up, so I'm gonna go on a little nuts with the grease here because it's not a big deal. It's sealed up. Alright, so dowel pin goes in dowel hole. Turns out I didn't have to put those witness marks on there, but better safe than sorry. I think I need the chuck key here. Get my gears lined up. Okay. Do not put chuck on rag if you want to put it together. That's a little gentle persuasion. It's not unusual. I had to persuade it off too, so I mean you can see what kind of a fit this thing has. Okay, they're all engaged, so alright. Alright, that looks like just about the way I had it when I took it apart. So, let me get the bolts back in it. And got to clean up the jaws. And then see if we can't get it back on the lathe. But I got to turn the fan back on because I am sweating again. Okay, so I got the chuck all back together, got the jaws in, got everything all tightened up. I got it mounted on my spindle. My chuck mounting bolts are loose so that I can adjust the Set Tru stuff. Got to be a little tight, but they still have to allow movement. So this is what I have in here is a piece of 1-inch Thompson rail, hardened and ground. Got my dial indicator mounted on my tool post, and you can see these. These are the screws you tighten to get the run out of it. Okay, so there's a high spot right there. Right, and this is backwards from a normal thing. Now I'm starting to remember. When you tighten this up, it forces it towards you. So you want to tighten the lows. And it's kind of like a 4-jaw. See how, you know, it's taking the run out of it. I'm going to loosen this one a little. Oh, it's already loose. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, this is a tenths indicator, so right now we're looking at run out of less than 1,000. So there's the low. That's pretty damn good. I mean, I can move it, you know, just so alright, let's give the face bolts a little tighten up now, because that'll probably move it a little too. It's kind of like an iterative process where you gotta tighten one and then adjust the other. Whoops. Tighten one, adjust the other. We can put some juice to this thing. Oop, that's not good. That's a low, so okay. I think that's pretty damn good. It's running out 1/10,000. That's within the tolerances of my bearing specs. So we'll put the final pop on this. Get in there. I'm not going to complain about that at all. So that's how you service and adjust a Bison Set Tru chuck 6-jaw made in Poland. Thanks for watching.